Hello everybody and welcome to another Top 5 Records video, and today I'm going to be talking about the best pressing for Kinda Blue. And what I'm going to do eventually is compare the mono first US pressing of Kinda Blue with the recent last year UHQR audiophile pressing of Kinda Blue. I'm also going to compare them to some other titles. I'm going to start off where my Kinda Blue journey started and the importance of a good pressing. Because when I started with listening to jazz records, I started off with this pressing of Kinda Blue, which is a Music on Vinyl 2013 mono pressing of this album. And you know what? This is not a bad pressing, it's an official pressing. You have to be aware that loads of the records out there, especially of Kinda Blue, but of a lot of old jazz albums, are just bad vinyl rip-offs. They did not own any of the rights, they did not own the masters, they didn't even come near the masters, they just ripped off a CD or sometimes even a bloody MP3. This is an okay pressing. I don't know what the source is, definitely not the master. I was very happy that they got the mono version out there, but what happened when I put this on? Did I fall in love with Kinda Blue? No, I did not fall in love with Kinda Blue. I thought, okay, it's a very good album. It's a very good album, but I could not understand why this would be any different than the Steamin' Workin' sessions by Miles Davis. Almost kind of the same band. I did not understand the epic status of its recording. Now, I wanted to understand, and we're talking about 3 years ago, there were incredible reviews in regard to this pressing. The original master recording pressing, the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab pressing from 2015. It's a 45 RPM. I got one of those limited editions, but it's 1700, 814, so it's pretty limited. This says it's mastered from the original tape, and I'm gonna dive into that. When I put this on, 45 RPM, I fell in love with it. I was very, very happy to own this version, and I started to understand much more of Kinda Blue because this 45 RPM, great representation, has much more air. It has much more of the placement of instruments, and the epic status of this record comes more to life on this. Now, I was pretty happy with this. But then last year, about 1.5 years ago, they announced another version of it. Also a stereo version. And I was kind of, I didn't know what to think of it. They announced this, the UHQR. I'm gonna dive a little bit back so I can hold them side to side. The UHQR. And I thought, the UHQR is a 33 RPM. Why would I have to go for 33 RPM when I have 45 RPM? Now it has to do with the masters, because the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab did not use the original masters. They used a copy of the master. The last time Kinda Blue left the vaults, the master tape left the vault, was in 1994 when Bernie Grundman, and that's one of the great masters, mastering engineers, that's the right word, made this one. But I believe that was still for Classic Records. Now, Analogue Productions bought the rights to those, and they released the Bernie Grundman version, the master from the original masters on stereo. And this is one of the most amazing sounding records in my collection. There's even more than the 45 RPM. It has much more air. It comes more to life. There's more definition in the instruments, and you can place the instruments better. Now, I had this on, but I ordered another version, and a friend of mine said, "Dennis, you're crazy. Why do you have to have all these versions and even get another one? Why do you have to get an old one, namely the first US mono?" And I try to let him hear why, because now I have this one, and now I have these two. There's a fair question why I still kept the other ones. Collectible value. I should actually sell them because these are the way to go. But why don't I choose one version? Why shouldn't I keep one version? Because if you compare these two, the original mono US from 1959 with the audiophile remaster from last year, why do you need both? Well, that's simple. Because they are completely different albums. This mono and this stereo are completely different albums, and the chances of getting closer to the source are pretty hard, because these mono masters, they have disappeared. They are nowhere to be found. There are no mono masters anymore, so this original is the best way the mono can sound. And the stereo version, it was reviewed by Analogue Planet, and they compared it to another first US stereo, and they said this one is even better due to pressing technique, better mastering. This one beats the original stereo out. So these are the best versions available. Now, why did I say I want to keep both? And I already get part of the answer. Because they sound different. This mono one has a full, deep, defined sound. You just want to get intimate with your mono, with your speaker. It's as if the speaker breathes the instrument. You know, you hear the other instruments. It's a great mono mix. And it was mixed and mastered, I believe, at the same time in mono and stereo. So it's really, it's not like the Beatles mono versus stereo, where they built on where they first built on a mono version. You know, this is, you can compare them. And this is an intimate jazz album. It feels like you're getting in front of an instrument. Near a fireplace, in a room that has little reflection. You know, no glass, no echo, no reverb. You hear it pure, and you hear it deep, and it has an awesome definition. You know, this gets everything you want to get out of a mono needle. It's awesome. Now, this sounds epic. You can place the instruments, you hear the air, you feel loads of details. But it's an epic. This is not an intimate album anymore. This is an epic version of Kind of Blue. And to be quite frank, sometimes I just feel like putting on the mono version, which is lovely and intimate and romantic in a certain way. And sometimes I just want to put on this one, which is a stellar sounding audiophile release that takes over the room, places the instruments all along the room, and it's just a different experience of the album. Now, I'm curious, have you compared the both of them? What do you think, and which way to go? Mono or stereo? Because I cannot choose. This shootout is a tie. Gotta have both.